We are back discussing the works of the flesh and the fruit of the Spirit. Up until now, we have looked at idolatry, witchcraft, and we have looked at strife. But today we are going to go back to Galatians chapter 5, verse 20, and I want to speak about variance. Now, in certain translations, it says variance. In others, it says contentions. Some places say dissensions. And linking those, I want to talk also about hatred, which can also be said as enmity, hostility. If you would remember in Galatians chapter 5, verse 19, it says that the acts of the flesh are obvious. And hearing these words right there, contentions, hatred, enmity, it's obvious that these are not aligned with who God is. When Jesus came to the world to die for us, he showed us the greatest love, and he showed us so much grace in doing this and taking that punishment upon himself and giving us victory and giving us salvation. So right off the bat, we can tell that the works of the flesh, again, are opposed to God. James chapter 4, verse 4, it asks us a great question in this verse, and it says, "Don't you know that friendship with the world means enmity against God?" This is something that we should remember. We know that the world hates Jesus. This is how it's been since creation. And we know that even when Jesus came, he speaks and he says that the world will hate us just as they hate Jesus. And the devil is working every day to make sure that the world hates Jesus, that the world does not want to follow him. They work every day, but praise be to God that we have found him and that we know him. And now it's our job to make sure that we display the fruits of the Spirit so that people can find Jesus and people can find salvation. One of those that are contrary to what Jesus represents and who the Father is this work of the flesh, which is variance, contentions, hatred, dissensions, enmity, hostility. And we are talking about this, defining it as intensely hostile intentions or acts to purposefully instigate quarrels or downfall, to struggle for superiority. The desire to be number one. This can be something that we project as hatred towards other people. When we see a position, for example, if we're talking more in terms that are relevant to where we are in life, if we see a position at work, the idea of, I don't want to say sabotage, that might sound a little drastic, but pushing the boundary of that professional boundary to achieve what you want to achieve. Or in school, pushing that boundary a little bit when you see somebody is succeeding more than you. That deep feeling we feel when we are so opposed to someone else. These are some things that the Holy Spirit is not for. Because competition is good in some ways, it's not a bad thing. We need situations that sometimes drive us to push ourselves, to go for bigger, to go for greater. But in the attempt to reach that position, we need to take that second to reflect and really ask ourselves, am I going about this in a godly fashion? Am I going about this in a way that ultimately protects my soul? Or am I going about this completely wrong? And I know that I'm pushing people down, and I know that I'm hurting people. And it turns into that self-ambition, this hatred. They kind of play off each other. Sometimes our self-ambition, and that sometimes we do face failure, and that failure that we face pushes us to hate the person that we've perhaps lost to. Or the idea of losing pushes us to do these acts, to look at someone with hostility or behave towards someone with hostility. Friendship with the world means that we have enmity against God. And sometimes when we don't disassociate ourselves with the things of the world, this hatred will spread into every other aspect of our lives. This enmity spreads into every other aspect of our lives. So though this may be a heavy topic, I do want to challenge you for over the course of this weekend to do some self-reflection and ask yourself, the intentions behind what I'm doing, are they God-driven? And if not, ask the Holy Spirit to show you the right way and the best way for you to achieve the things that He has placed within your heart. I will see you guys back very soon. Have a wonderful weekend.